Greetings, folks, and welcome to Living Well Community, your home for interactive and on-demand wellness programming brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. I'm John Roberts, and this is Mind the Moment in Everyday Life. Now, each week, we look at viewer questions, and we ask ourselves, through those questions, how can mindfulness help us make the most out of every moment in our lives? Now, Jessica Morey, my usual partner in these sessions, is off this week teaching a retreat, and so I am delighted to be joined by my friend, another wonderful mindfulness instructor, Kell Julliard. Kell, welcome.
Thank you, John.
Now, I want to say a few things about you, and here are some of those things I want to say. Now, you've taught all over the place. You've taught at the Garrison Institute, the Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health, the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies, as well as at mindfulness centers in New York, Chicago, Montreal, Boston, Portugal. You are certified by the International Mindfulness Teachers Association. You have been involved in authoring over 60 peer-reviewed medical papers, including several related to teaching healthcare workers how to meditate. You are the chief meditation officer for the Institute for Meditation Brainwave Research, also the dean of the board of directors of the American Guild of Organists, Western Massachusetts chapter. On top of all this, you are my neighbor, Cal, so I know exactly what the weather is like at your house right now. Now, you've done a bunch of stuff. Let me ask you this. What are you most proud of? Keeping in mind, your answer today might be different from your answer tomorrow or your answer yesterday, but what are you most proud of today in your many accomplishments?
Well, as you know, John, I teach the Joy of Living program for the Tergar meditation community under Mingyur Rinpoche's guidance. And probably teaching Joy of Living workshops is the thing that I am most proud of because I feel it's the thing that's most powerfully beneficial to other people and to myself. I mean, teaching of it is beneficial to me and hopefully to others, but the program is just awesome. So yeah, and that's actually the medical articles that I published on healthcare professional meditation training came out of the Joy of Living program. So all of that is kind of a piece.
Now, I hope this is clear to folks. I'm sure it is. That Kell is a very humble person, and this I think exemplified in what you just said. Because a lot of people might say, like, "Oh, the thing I'm most accomplished or proud of, my accomplishment I'm most proud of is something like I have done myself." But really, you're talking about this work expanding and expounding upon the work of this other meditation teacher. Do you want to say a few words about why that particular program has spoken to you, or that particular teacher has spoken to you in the way that it has?
Sure. My first retreat with Mingyur Rinpoche in 2009, I was struck by how he was willing to come all the way into my world with these practices and concepts. I didn't have to fit myself into some, structure, uncomfortable structure to be approved of. I felt that this was so generous and so universally applicable in the flow of life as well as in formal meditation training. So those things really appealed to me.
Beautiful. And Kel, and another teacher I know who is very generous in their teaching is you. And thank you for being here with us today. Now, folks, we'd love for you to be a part of the conversation today as well. So do open up the chat. Let us know of any questions or comments that might arise for you at any point during today's program. But let me move us on now to sort of the main meat of our session, which is the viewer question. Here we go. All right. Dear Jess and John, let's see. So, dear Kell and John, I used to love it when summer changed to fall. But these days, as I find myself fast approaching middle age, it's not just a sense of melancholy, I feel, but almost a sense of panic when I see the seasons changing, as though time is slipping away from me faster than I can enjoy it. Can mindfulness help? Now, Kel, this question spoke to me because I also used to be someone who looked forward to seeing things coming in the year, like the building of fires in my wood stove as fall arrived, or the holidays back around as the weather got warmer to when I could look forward to swimming and not having to wear a hat and coat everywhere. But now that I'm getting a little bit older, I find myself wanting to almost cling to each moment before it gets away from me. And I think of this monologue that Tom Waits delivers in the film Rumblefish, in which he says something like, when you're a kid, you've got time, nothing but time. You can throw away a few years here and there. But when you get older, you say, How many summers have I got left? All right, so I'm hoping that maybe you can share some perspectives from your experience with mindfulness practice that might help think through how we can manage our relationship with time as it passes around us.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, first of all, there's something super positive in your response. I mean, it comes out of wanting to be really present. And that impulse, that urge is to show up for our own lives is in a way the foundation of all meditation practice. So can we express that urge in a really positive way? And can mindfulness help with that? And I would say unequivocally, yes. The other thing that I want to say, just in a response to that viewer's statement, is just the incredible vulnerability that it shows. I really appreciate the honesty, the vulnerability. There's so much that gets tied into that brief statement. Our sense of self as it unfolds over time, the loss of what is precious to us, dealing with the grief around that, and all the other feelings around that, which run the gamut of human emotion. The coming to terms with what do our lives mean in the face of change and in the face of aging and eventually death. Is there fear connected with those that gets invoked in these moments? So there's just, I mean, this is really an enormous topic that, we have half an hour. So we can only like stick a toe in the water of this topic. But I'm hoping that what I'll be able to offer, both in these comments and in the practice, is something truly useful for all of us as we move through moments like you describe. So I think it's very important to remember mindfulness isn't just like a narrow technique, a pill that we do to reduce our stress, to make ourselves feel better in some way. Mindfulness is actually, I would say, a window on a vast inner landscape. So mindfulness opens us up to a world inside and a whole different way of relating to the outer world. So that will become clear as I talk further and lead our practice. But some people in their practice, maybe they meditate with the breath only. And so it can feel very narrow. It doesn't have to feel that way. I'm not criticizing in any way the practice of meditating with the breath. That practice can open us onto that vast inner landscape, just meditating with the breath. But it can also close us down if we're just focused on mindfulness in a very narrow sense. So the word that I typically use instead of mindfulness is awareness, because awareness has a sense of being effortless. It's just with us. If you ask a 12-year-old, are you aware? They would say, duh, of course I'm aware. It's ordinary. It's something with us all the time. But the important thing to recognize is awareness is bigger than anything it contains. So the thoughts, the emotions, the experiences, the sensations exist within awareness. And thus, we can bring meditative awareness, this ability to recognize the spaciousness of awareness, into the flow of life, as well as into our formal practice. So this is a key to working with the feelings and thoughts that your viewer put forth in that statement. So the practice that I want to lead today is the RAIN practice that was developed by Michelle McDonald. Tara Brach has popularized that. Tara Brach has RAIN meditations on YouTube. She's written a whole book on this practice. But it's a way of meditating with our emotional life, whatever the emotions are that arise in response to this feeling of time passing, of loss, of change, of things slipping away. And it builds in some very important aspects that can really help us out. One of them is self-compassion, gratitude. So I'll talk a little bit about those if we have time before we do the actual practice. But I want to say a word about the window of tolerance, which is a concept that's come to bear in meditation teaching in the last few years, when we recognize that meditation actually can open up things for us that are quite challenging and that can actually be a little too hot to handle. So many of us have probably had the experience of being in meditation, whatever your practice is, and having a memory that triggers an emotion, and suddenly, we're replaying something, and the emotions can get really too hot to handle. So the window of tolerance is an idea that helps us work with that. So that the window itself is that place where we're basically okay. Maybe it's a little bit uncomfortable, or maybe we're a little bit numb even, but basically we're okay. As we move to the top of the window, that's where agitation begins to increase. And when we move out of the window of tolerance, then agitation has really gotten too hot to handle. The bottom of the window is where we get numb, dissociated, checked out. We're just a couch potato, a blank. And as we begin to move toward the bottom of the window, we also want to know, am I moving in that direction? So if your inner wisdom tells you that you're either moving into a state that's too agitated or a state that's too numb, open your eyes if they're closed. Orient yourself to the environment. Just look around. Reassure yourself of the safety of where you are. Tune into your feet. Move a bit. Do something that helps you ground and center. Take a break from your meditation. Call a friend. Read a book. You may be able to go back to your meditation practice after you've kind of opened your eyes and look around, but it might be skillful to actually stop meditating at that point. So recognizing where we are in the window of tolerance and taking action to genuinely care for ourselves in relation to that is very important, because the stuff that your viewer mentioned can actually really get too hot to handle. So it's important to not just think, I'm going to tough this out. Doesn't matter how freaked out I am by this. Well, it does matter. Take care of yourself if you begin to recognize you're getting agitated. Right. So let me just speak very briefly about the RAIN practice, where we are recognizing that an emotion or a thought is present. We're accepting it's here. I can't magically make it go away. With the I of RAIN, we're investigating it. But the N is particularly multidimensional. Often we teach the N as noting. We're helping us really tune into our experience by coming up with a brief word or phrase that describes it. Like, for instance, maybe there's sadness present, and you could just say emotion or sadness as a way of noting that, to help you bring that sadness into meditative awareness. Then the next way of thinking of the N is non-identify. And that can sound complicated, but all it means is awareness is bigger than the feeling. By recognizing the feeling and knowing you're feeling it, you've already stepped into meditative awareness and created some space around the feeling. So all you have to do is recognize that awareness is bigger than the emotion, to loosen that being lost in the feeling and identified with it. And the final one for N is nurture. And this is where self-compassion and even gratitude comes in. We're grateful for our practice. We hold ourselves with kindness in this moment. It might be a challenging moment. It might be a challenging feeling, but we don't amplify that by harsh words to ourselves, by judging ourselves. we recognize maybe we're suffering a little bit in this moment. So we hold ourselves with kindness, maybe even a hand on the heart. So I wanted to say a word about those three N's before we do the rain practice, and I will guide us through that. But it's helpful to kind of have a sense of the terrain we're going to be moving through.
Agreed. Good to have a map, especially when you're going on a journey in the mind. All right, Kel, please navigate us.
Okay. So I'm going to invite us all to take a moment to check in with our bodies, find a way of sitting or standing or lying down, whatever's right for you, that supports you in being present and relaxed. Present and relaxed. Your eyes can be open or closed, whatever works best for you. And I'm going to invite you to come into a place of just being, just letting go of all the doing that's perhaps been the dominant factor in the day, and letting yourself just be in this moment. That means you don't have to block anything. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, sounds, body feelings, they can all come and go while you're just present in this moment. It's natural for the mind to get lost in thoughts and feelings. When you recognize that this has happened, celebrate that. You're already back in awareness, and just return to your meditation practice. So here, we're just being present, letting ourselves just be whoever we are in this moment. So to invoke our theme for a moment, I'm going to invite you to tune into something you recognize that's associated with change. It could be as simple as just tuning into the movement of your breath or the beating of your heart. Just noticing change. Maybe outside your window, you can see leaves that are beginning to turn. Or maybe there was something that happened today that made you aware of things changing. So in a simple way, just bring that to mind. And simply know you're experiencing or reflecting on that. And as you reflect on that, notice, are there any feelings present? Any emotions or even just a mood? In terms of the feeling tone of your life right now, just notice what you're feeling. It could be anything from peaceful to stressed to curious, anything in the range of human moods and emotions. And rather than trying to change that, just accept that that's the feeling or mood that's here right now, whatever it might be. Just be with that emotion. Just let it be. It might even change as you watch or experience it. That's okay. Now bring curiosity as we investigate. How do you know this is what you're feeling? Is it a quality of thought or some sensation in your body, in your face or your chest or anywhere else? Get curious about how you know this is what you're experiencing. And to help sharpen what you discover, come up with a brief phrase. It could be as simple as relaxed shoulders or tension in stomach or fast thoughts. Whatever you notice about this feeling, see if you can name that in a very brief, succinct way. And as you experience the feeling and note the body sensations, the thoughts, that your awareness can accommodate all of this. That there's a space of awareness around whatever arises within it. And this is non-identification. You and the thoughts and feelings and sensations are different. You're bigger than they are. They're in your experience, but you don't have to be lost or locked into them. In this space of awareness, you can watch them shift and change. And whatever this process has been like for you, I'm going to ask you to hold the intention to bring caring for yourself into it, to hold yourself with kindness. Sometimes it helps just to put a hand on your heart, as a gesture of being there for yourself, of genuine warmth. of recognizing that wish for happiness, for freedom from suffering, for well-being. Recognizing that wish and affirming it, holding yourself with genuine warmth and caring. You could even imagine yourself surrounded by the feeling of a safe hug or a warm glow of love. And now we'll gently move out of this practice. Again, just letting your mind and heart rest. Letting yourself just be in this moment. And in this place of being, gently opening your eyes. Looking around a little bit to come back to this space.
Thank you for that, Kell. Before we continue, just a word. If folks have a question they would like to ask us to tackle in a future episode, please do email us at askmtm@point32health.org. This session, if you'd like to watch it again, will be up on our YouTube page and our podcast feed soon. I've dropped into the chat the links you can use to access those things or any other things that we're talking about in today's program. Or if you're already experiencing this as a recording, then the relevant links will be in the show notes or the description below. Kell, as you're leading that practice, I couldn't help but think that there's a challenge in this. I think a lot of us might be of the mindset that if we don't spend time worrying about the future, we might get caught off guard by it, right? But in mindfulness, am I correct that there is a sense of trusting that the future will take care of itself as long as we are managing the present moment?
So everything happens in the present moment, right? Worry versus productive planning, those are two very different things. And often I associate worry with going around and around and around over the same ground, which is really not helpful. So I think mindfulness can help us take that step back out of worry to know, is this serving me? Is this productive planning? Or is this rumination and catastrophizing that's really just upsetting me and not predisposing me to deal with the future in a skillful way?
That sounds right. All right. So it's more about you don't want to be the dog in the beach who's just kicking up the sand. You want to be more like, okay, I'm productively making the sand castle here. Still a lot of sand to deal with, but I'm
pick up your sand, bury your bone, and then you're done. You don't have to keep kicking up the sand.
Gil, I'm always shocked at how fast these sessions go. It's at least for me. It's, I guess time flies when you're having a wonderful time. But I want to make sure to leave time for you to let folks know a bit more about where they can find out about things that you are up to outside of this session.
So I'm going to put a link in the chat. I will be part of a team teaching the loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity practices online. This is a cohort that's happening in the Joy of Living program. So you've got to enroll in Joy of Living and sign up for the cohort for Joy of Living Level 2. But that's starting this Saturday. So if self-compassion and any of those practices related to freedom from suffering are something that you might need right now, then that's something that 4 of us will be teaching over the next 6 months in this cohort of Joy of Living Level 2. The other thing, I'm going to be doing a workshop here in Shutesbury on September 20th and October 4th, 2 Saturdays, called Awakening Wisdom. So anyone with a regular meditation practice would be welcome to attend. So I put the link in the chat to that. And if you've got questions about any of this or just want more information, I'm also putting my email in the chat.
Very good. Thank you, Kel. And just for my own part, next week at this very time, I will myself be out of town. So my usual partner in these sessions, Jessica Morey, will be taking the helm herself. Frankly, I'm not 100% sure what she's going to do, but I think she might be sneaking in a special guest of her own. So if you are interested in experiencing a world in which Jessica Morey is Jonathan Roberts and Jonathan Roberts has vanished into the ether like so much evaporated dew, don't miss next Tuesday's session. Finally, Kel, I always like to ask, what is your mindfulness? What is the theme song for your mindfulness practice this week?
So I've put an exquisitely gorgeous Handel duet in the chat, and I'll just tell you the first couple of lines of the lyrics. As steals the morn upon the night and melts the shades away, so truth does illusion's charms dissolve. And I think mindfulness has the capacity to bring us in a positive way in touch with the reality of what's inside and what's outside. So that aria feels very appropriate to me.
And it makes mine feel very silly this week. Kel, which was going to be "Fly Like an Eagle" by the Steve Miller Band. But you know what? It's variety that is the spice of life, as
It
my father
is.
used to say. Folks, do check out our ever-growing Mind the Moment in Everyday Life Dance Party playlist on Spotify. Again, the link is in the chat or in the show notes below. Kel, wow, thank you so much for being with us today. It was wonderful to have you. Can't wait to do it again. We should do this again. But thank you for your guidance. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance. And we will be back next week. Everyone have a very good rest of your day and week.